Hello guys, welcoming you all to a new video in Bag Job channel with me Betsy. It's been a while that we uploaded a new video in our channel because I was tightly packed. But having said this, I was very active in our Instagram account, running a lot of polls and QA questions and all that. And I've received quite a lot of questions and queries with job related stuff. So I will be addressing all your queries, all your questions by end of this video. So without further delay, let's get into today's session. So as you all know, we are continuing with the series. Today is our series 3 where we will be learning about, or we will be seeing about, the important types of interviews and also different styles of interviews. If you combine all together, there are nearly around 20 to 25 types of interviews, but I'm not going to get into the detailing of everything, but I have picked a couple of them, like around 6 to 7, which I felt everybody should be aware of, whoever is preparing for an interview session. So let's get into the detailing of it without further ado. So the first type of interview we are going to see is the personal interview, or in-person interview, or one-on-one interview, or face-to-face interview. It all means the same. So here, during this kind of interview session, that is the personal interview session, the employer will be analyzing on two main important things. That is, will you be the right fit as per the culture and environment of the office? And also, are you really serious about the role? We had seen in the previous series that you will have to create a relationship or build in rapport with the interviewer, right? So that has to be applied here during the personal interview session, because each and every answer that you give, or the response that you give, the gesture from your end, that is, you're starting from your appearance to the way you interact with the interviewer, everything will be closely monitored. So know that this is your chance to impress the employer. So how do you impress the employer? We have already seen in our previous series. Those who have not seen the video, please go into the eye and click it. You will get the video. Watch that video and then you come to this one, so that it will be easy for you to relate. So to impress the employer, we have already learned that you will have to do research about the company. You need to be prepared for the questions the employer is going to ask you, or the interviewer is going to ask you. You need to show them you will be the right fit for as per their culture and the environment. Most importantly, you should be knowing about the job description really well, in and out, as I already told you. Prepare well according to the job description and crack the job by impressing the interviewer. The next type of interview is phone interview. Usually phone interviews are a bit easier for us, because we need not interact with the interviewer on face, or you are not seeing the interviewer basically. So it's pretty easy for us to handle it over the phone. So usually telephonic interview happens as the first contact or the second contact once the interviewer receives your CV. I have already explained you in detail about the telephonic interview in one of my videos. I will be putting it in the card or in the description box below. So you can just run through the video as well. In brief, you need to choose a silent room or a silent place wherever you are while attending the interview, and ensure your phone is completely charged. Not only that, you must ensure that your phone is in full range while you are on call for the interview, in order to make it an interruption-free communication. So that's very important, because while the interview is happening, if there is an interruption in between, the flow goes for the interviewer as well as for you, and it creates a mess. So to avoid that, it's always good that you are preparing well in advance by keeping your phone fully charged and ensuring that there is a proper range in the place where you are choosing to attend the interview. While this telephonic interview is happening, there might be questions based on how good you know about the company, or all the other things which you have seen in the previous series. So ensure you also prepare yourself well for these questions which can arise through phone interview calls, and make sure you have already done the research about the company. So researching about the company is really so important that You cannot skip it. In any kind of interview or any type of interview, you will be asked questions based on that. But apart from asking questions based on that, you should also be aware of whom you are going to be interviewed for. So I advise you guys that before you attend the actual interview, it is always better for you to rehearse well in advance. So when you practice yourself on mock interview calls, you will actually know what are your flaws. If you are too speed in speaking or too slow, if you have some stammering in between, all that can be corrected while you rehearse well in advance. Very importantly, when the interviewer is asking you questions, you need to give ears to all the questions to not miss out on any questions and be very focused on your answers. Usually phone interviews, you will not have to give the star responses and all that. Try to keep your responses short and crisp and to the point. That would suffice for telephonic interviews. The third type of interview which we are going to see is an obvious one, that is the video interview. With the current pandemic crisis, that is a COVID-19 situation which is going on, majority of the employers are switching to video call interviews. Video call interviews happen through probably Zoom or Skype or maybe Google Duo, MS Teams, there is Microsoft Teams. There are a lot of other applications which usually the employers use to conduct the video call interviews. A video interview helps the employer to note the candidate's mannerism, preparedness and appearance more comprehensively than through a telephonic interview. So this video interview was quite in use even before the COVID situation, but then that was generally when the interviewer and the candidate is in two different countries or states or two different locations basically, where they cannot conduct a face-to-face interview. During that time, they would prefer video call interview. But now, due to this COVID pandemic crisis, this has become the need of the hour. All the employees prefer video call interviews. So it is a must that we need to be prepared well in advance for this particular type of interview. So I have already explained how to prepare yourself for a video call interview. So for this video interview, you need to first download the application which the employer is preferring. So check with the employer what kind of application they would like to conduct the video call interview on, and you need to download the application on your desktop or mobile. So once the application is installed, you need to run through the application and get to know the application really well, like how to use it and how to answer the call and all that. Again, the rehearsal is a must here as well. Do some mock video call interviews and get prepared yourself really well for the interview. So the next type of interview which I've included in this is the group interviews. Right now, the group interviews might not be much in practice due to the social distancing and COVID situation, but I'm pretty sure that probably after 4 months or 5 months, everything should be fine and group interviews will be back in place. So I thought you must be aware of how this process is done and why this process is done so that it's easy for you to prepare yourself for it. Usually, the group interviews are conducted by airline companies or industries like that. Why group interviews? Because there will be a bulk requirement, a huge number of requirement. Let's consider it as maybe 60 positions open and they have to fill in all the positions for the same kind of a role. So for example, if you take the crew members, cabin crew requirement or maybe the ground staff requirement. So for these scenarios, they switch to group interview mode so that it's easy to make the filtration process. So for 60 or 70 or 80 or whatever bulk hiring or a huge number of positions, definitely thousands and thousands of applications would fall in place. So to understand or analyze each and every applicant, the face-to-face or personal interviews will not suffice. It is actually time-consuming process. So that's where the group interview comes into picture. So usually in the group interviews, your nature is being analyzed. The way you interact with the group members is being considered or monitored, and they see how quick you can sync with another person or how good you are in volunteering yourself and taking the leadership quality and all that. So how do they do this? They usually turn you into teams or groups and they give you some tasks to perform. This task can include question and answers or activities or whatever it is. Here what you need to keep in mind is you must be the one who is answering all the questions, because that's how you can actually get noticed by the employer. Also, Try to be very friendly, as I mentioned earlier, with all the group members. Interact really well, because all these things will be closely monitored, like how good are you in a team, how well you sync with others, everything will be noted. In case you're given an activity in the task, try to take initiatives. Volunteer yourself and lead the team. So there you can show your leadership qualities as well. So this interview will not be an issue for the extroverts or those who are easily syncing with others, but for the introverts or the reserved kind of a people, this might be a little tough kind of an interview. So you need to prepare well. If you're shy nature, try to keep it aside and charge yourself very well for this kind of an interview. Have some mock sessions, like how you would interact with other group members in the team and how you can betterment yourself. So rehearsing is actually the better way of preparing for the interview, like for any of the kind of interview, whether it be the video call interview, phone interview, or the group interview. For everything, rehearsal really helps you out well. So one important thing in the group interview is that you will be facing multiple interviewers, might be 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever it is. And in your side, that is the applicant side, also there will be multiple people. So it is basically, this is why it is called basically a group interview. The next interview type which we are going to see is the panel interview. So what is the difference between the group and panel interview? In panel interview, you will be the only applicant and you will be facing multiple interviewers. Wherein in a group interview, you will be having the multiple applicants with multiple interviewers. So the multiple interviewers are basically representatives of different departments of the company. Because there are multiple interviewers in front of you, definitely this interview can actually be a stress interview for you, because this will be putting you under pressure. So in this particular interview, what you have to understand is that once the interviewer is asking you a question, when I say that there are multiple interviewers sitting in front of you, the panel which is sitting in front of you, anyone from the panel would be firing you a question. So keep the eye contact on all the interviewers who are sitting in the panel. So it's not just the one who just asked you the question, but also you have to have the proper eye contact with everyone who is sitting in the panel. Keep this in mind, that you are not just answering that one particular person who is asking you, but you are answering to everyone who are sitting in the panel. So the panel will have multiple people, as I mentioned, and different people are of different mindset. So you need to impress everybody in the panel. So that's not quite easy, but you can try your best by doing these steps, like we already learned it in our previous series. That is, research about the company really well, know for which position you're applying for, understand the relationship between the job description and your CV, try to match them, and you must know everything in and out really well to express yourself in the interview session. So whenever there is a question being fired by any of the interviewer there in the panel, you need to be ready and prepared to give the response for it. Now we saw the different types of interviews. So in this video, I will be incorporating 2 styles of interviews as well. One is case study interview and the other one is puzzle interviews. So I wanted to incorporate this because this is quite important to know, as the case study and puzzle interviews can be a part of your personal interview or panel interview or maybe the group interviews. So it's important to know how to tackle this interview style. Now, beginning with the case interviews, case study interviews. Case study is nothing but an interviewer will give you a business scenario which would have already happened in their organization. So that kind of a business scenario will be projected in front of you and they would ask you how you would deal with the situation. So basically here you apply the STAR method to answer. How do we do the STAR method? How do we answer using the STAR method? It's in detail in my previous videos. Please go and run through the videos so that you can have a better idea. This kind of case study interview will be included in industries like management consulting industries as well as the investment banking industry. Now in this kind of an interview, that is a case study interview, what you need to understand is that you are showing off 2 major things. That is, one is your analytical ability and the second one is your problem solving skills. Basically, it's just that you need to apply some logic to the given scenario and analyze the situation and how would you act accordingly when the situation arises? Don't worry if you get stuck in between, because sometimes there is no proper solution. Ideally, once you are put into a situation like that, how you would react, how you would handle the situation, that's all about it. So coming to our next style of interview, that is the puzzle interviews. Usually puzzle interviews are really tricky interviews. Why this is tricky? Because you need to be prepared with the brain teasers very well. Ideally, these kind of puzzle interviews will be reserved for professionals in the information technology, like for the software engineers, developers, coders, and so on. So I have heard that Google does this puzzle interview. So here the interviewer is trying to understand your competency level and also your ability to solve the real world problems. To answer these kind of questions, that is a puzzle interview questions, it is not important that how right or correct your answer is, but it's all about how you are managing to answer it. What kind of problem solving technique are you going to use for this? Having said this, if you prepare well in advance the brain teaser questions through online or maybe any other resource, before the interview session that you're going to attend, it will be helpful for you to give the right answer. I can do a separate video on this if you request. If you need it, do comment it below the comment box so that we can do a separate video based on the puzzle interview types. So now we move on to the Q&A session, which we have received questions through Instagram and email. So I will be responding to those queries now. First, let's see the polls which I had posted. We had posted around two polls. So among them, the first one was, I'm planning to do a video on LinkedIn tutorial for beginners. What say? So this was the response. Yes, I will be doing a video soon on the LinkedIn tutorials for beginners, starting from how to start a LinkedIn profile and how to use it well, utilize it well for your job search purpose. So it might take some days time. I'm just preparing it now, so it will take some days to get uploaded in the YouTube channel. So stay tuned until then. Second poll was, what different videos would you like to see in Bag a Job channel? So I had given some options as well. Chit chat videos, history videos, finance management and business related videos, and DIY videos. So I had given these 4 options and you guys have opted for So yes, as per your request, I will be doing finance related videos very soon. Even that is in the bucket list, so I will be doing that very shortly. Just that I need some time to prepare the videos, so you will be seeing it soon. So now let's move on to the QA questions through Instagram. I had ask me any job related questions and I will respond to you. So I had received almost around 20 to 25 questions and I've shortlisted around 10 from them. So the first question is from Being Cool Raj. How to find if a job is fake or real? Now usually a job posting is done by 2 people. One is the employer and the second one is through the recruitment agencies. So if you find the job requirement being advertised by the employer themselves, it's not going to be fake. So you need to figure out the email IDs first, and if you find the domain name as a company name, then you can definitely trust them. Or if you do not find an email ID, try to search for a contact number. If you do not find a contact number, then more or less it can be fake, it can be real. Again, you should trust your intuitions and then go ahead. So the next question is from Jenny Joyce. Which is the good job site to find job? So this is kind of actually a kind of a question which can be answered based on what profile you are looking for and from which part of the world you are and where you want to work. Because I can see that my audience, my video audience are from India, Philippines and UAE. So I'm not sure from which part she is. So next time when you ask this question, do mention your job profile, your current location and where exactly you would like to work. Based on that, I can advise you on the job search site. My next question is from It's Me Javed. So, do you have a job opening for me? See, I receive a lot of emails like this. Even people attach their CVs and send it to me. But let me be very honest. This channel we are running just to share some tips and tricks related to jobs so that it's easy for you to figure out, it's easy for you to find out new jobs, or you can attend some interviews with confidence. So this is basically with that idea I have started this channel. Maybe I can try and include some job advertisements going forward. If I feel it is genuine, then I will be sharing it in my videos as well. Or you can follow me on Instagram. I'll post it on Instagram if I find some good job openings available. The next question is from Singh Bhubaneswar. How to improve spoken English? I believe I can drop you few links of other YouTube channels who are really doing well on spoken English classes. So I'll be leaving it here in the screen so that you can have a look at it. The next question is from Mr. Kumar Rakesh. My friend wants a job in IT. Can you help? Of course I can help, but you need to tell me what designation you're looking for and what kind of a profile is yours, so that I can give you suggestions on how to find the job. Now let's move on to the email questions. Please find my CV. Can you find a job for me? I think I've already answered this thing. I will not be able to assist you with jobs, but I can always give you suggestions on how to find the jobs. What is salary for a what salary can a fresher expect? So generally the salaries depend on different companies. It varies from one company to the other company. And if you're a fresher, definitely your skills, your competency levels, everything will be evaluated, and based on that you will be offered. Having said this, your designation, the job role that you have been applied for, everything matters to give you a figure about the salary part. So once again, the location you're working, the company you're working, everything, it depends on everything. So randomly, if you ask me what is the salary a fresher can expect, it's quite difficult to answer. Just give me the details when you ask certain questions, so it's easy for me to analyze and give you a concrete response. So yes, I think with that we are winding up for today. I have not revealed the name of people who have emailed me, because I believe those who have emailed me wants to keep their name private probably. That's the reason they have emailed. Any which ways, that wouldn't matter for us. As far as we are able to give, as far as I'm able to give you response to your queries, it's fine. So alright, we are winding up with today's session as well. So if you can comment all these queries or questions in YouTube comment box, it will be easier for me to respond to you then and there. Because when you email it to me, I hardly go through the mails every day, so it might take some time for me to respond to your queries. So it's better you comment it below the YouTube channel. It's easy for me to reply you then and there. And so do not forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm also available in LinkedIn. If you have any other job related questions, if you want to personalize your message and send it to me, you can also send it via LinkedIn messages. I will be responding to your queries. So thank you so much for watching today's session. We will be coming with a bang in the next video with a fresh new content. So any of you who are watching this video is new to my channel, do not forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so that you get notified on my new videos every single week.